Hello, everybody. It's me, it's Chad. It's Polynerdic back for the first time in a couple weeks with the latest in the series I started on December 3rd about my favorite non Wizards of the Coast third party 5e books. I got my first true start with D&D with 5e and played a lot of hours with my kids. There was a time where we were playing between 4 to 8 hours on Saturday and Sunday every other week. We churned through a campaign that hit level 20, and then I found some third-party stuff that brought us up to level, I think they're like 22 or 23 now. Some epic level 5e stuff. During our time playing it, it became really apparent to me that some of, if not all, of the best stuff could be found outside of the WotC offerings. Like, your core rule books and whatnot, and your monster manuals, your Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Those books are all great. But there's better stuff out there. We've done a couple of these videos now. I've shown you a couple of the things that I have in my possession that are great sources. And today, in light of last week, Hasboro laying off, I think it was over 1,000 people and a bunch of really, really prominent people from the D&D side, which just makes no sense. The WotC staff and some Magic the Gathering, and corporation's going to be corporate, and it sucks, and my heart breaks for everybody that got laid off. But it did inspire me to sit down and do some more of these videos before we get too far along in the year. We're already halfway through December. So enough rambling from me. It's been 2 minutes. You want to know what we're talking about. You've already read the title of the video. Kobold Press. I'm just going to say nearly everything they've put out. Everything of theirs that I've touched, I have enjoyed. From smaller short form stuff like their Warlock Grimoires, to world building books like Campaign Builder Cities and Towns. A lot of good tables, a lot of good ideas, a lot of good breakdowns of how to we're getting out of focus here. Come on, bring me back in. Come on, don't do this to me. Configure video. We'll get back to this. Campaign Builder, Cities and Towns. It's a fantastic book containing all sorts of tips and roll tables and just general ideas for building a city for your campaign. As someone who's currently doing a lot of world building, this book has been very helpful for getting ideas of how to lay out my cities, because it goes into everything from like history of the city, how did it start, why did it settle there, what kind of city is it, all sorts of stuff. Definitely worth looking at. Then they have sort of setting books. Waste of Chaos, Book of Eventides, both really great. Waste of Chaos is gives you a bunch of stuff for like magical wastelands. If you know Pathfinder, the Mana Waste, it's stuff like that. It gives you great stuff for that. Again, as someone who's world building, great stuff. Book of Eventides is basically their version of Shadowfell. It's the Plane of Shadow, I believe is how they call it. Yep, it's for the Shadow Realm. And it has everything from, the history of the plane, the different peoples that are there, the Umbral people and heroes, Bearfolk, Shadow Fae, Shadow Goblins, Umbral humans. Talks about magic, gives you some new spells, talks about the nature of the shadow, the ebb and tide, what that is, the Fae Courts, the Shadow Fae Court. It's a really good setting book, full of ideas. And then, of course, they have 4 monster manuals of sorts. There's 3 Tome of Beasts and 1 Creature Codex. I own all of them in PDF or physical. A couple of them I own in PDF and physical. 1 and 3. This is the old one. They did just release a renewed version of 1. This was one of the first really big Kickstarter. You know the site. One of the first big projects I ever got to back. This book is beautiful. It's well put together. It's a well made book. It doesn't feel flimsy like sometimes print on demand type books do, and it's just full of beautiful monsters. You know, chain golems and goblin siege engines, lantern giants, which are like aquatic giants that look like anglerfish. Just all sorts of cool stuff from the folks at Kobold Press. More stuff about Fey lords and ladies. Great stuff. Let me show you. I've got it pulled up just as a small example of what's in this book. I love kobolds. They are one of my favorite types of I consider them characters, not monsters. I absolutely love to play as kobolds. I have so many kobold NPCs in my games, and they're just great creatures. Actually, one of my big complaints about Baldur's Gate 3 is that you can't play as kobolds. Get a Monster Hunter kobold. You've got let me just pick R. No, R's not good. Let's try Q. No. Trying to find one that like just really good monster design on their part. What's a Moonweaver? Moonless Hunter. Nope, that's not what it is. That's the one I was thinking of. Moonweb. I love jellyfish. Gigantic, or I'm sorry, medium, which would make it a giant jellyfish. Predators from the ethereal plane. Moonwebs could travel between planes when the moon is full. They're ambush hunters. Like, got your stat blocks, you got your facts about them. The only thing, the kobold moppets, I mean, that. The only thing that this lacks, and it's a common problem across 5e, is that it lacks the, like, here's the Coral Queen. There you go, look at that. Look at that. That's terrifying. Anyway, the only thing that this lacks, and I find most 5e monster manuals lack this, is a section on the like knowledge or perception checks that are related to the creatures, and loot, like specific items that you can get from them that can be used to make something later. So many books fail to do that. That is one thing that the Kobold Press books also don't do. You don't get a good ready-made source of things. Like in my home campaign that's gone on for almost 3 years. Actually, we just passed 3 years. We haven't played it much this year, but due to life stuff. But the game started in 2020, and I had to find third-party sources of monster parts and crafting stuff, you know, because it's just not hardwired into the game the way it used to be. And I think that's the one oversight with these monster manuals. But I digress. Kobold Press books are fantastic. They are making their own game, Tales of the Valiant. It is essentially going to be 5e as it was prior to 5.5. They have some really cool design ideas in it. I particularly like that clerics use scythes. At least their concept, their prototypical cleric has a scythe. So I like what they're doing. I might move on from it. I might pick up some Tales of the Valiant stuff I've been learning Pathfinder and other games, and we're going to do a video about that too, about other games than 5e or D&D that you can be playing specifically. Anyway, Kobold Press stuff. Check it out. Totally worth your time. Tome of Heroes, all of it. Just great, fantastic stuff. And I'll be back in the coming days with more stuff that you should check out that's not WotC 5e. Thank you.